Snoko noko. Ayabu. Urongongo. Ayabu. 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 Dabda. Ayabu. Ayabu bala. Ayabu. Buya bala bala. Ayabu. Snoko noko. Ayabu. 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 Ayabu dabda. Ayabu. Ayabu bala. Ayabu. Buya bala bala. Ayabu. Snoko noko. Ayabu. 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 Ayabu dabda. Ayabu. Ayabu bala. Ayabu. Buya bala bala. Ayabu.
Peuple du monde, nous sommes des petits Vodou. Ricardo Fernando, le joie à l'église, la nuit au couvent. Moami no no fi, jana tu modu tefi. Me hole odo, bodo pina wa inu. Bono wa no ton, bono blo mido. Ye wa se bodu dajo bo, afutu tumli. Nga pe baku, atraje tori ya ke bodu wa numle, amima bodu wa numli. Bodu wa umede, bokpe bo fibi, ateja misa homeo. Mino o sapataun, bono rutaun. Mino wa bojebu, bono o kaka. Penele no rusatro, bono o kaka. No mi diwa ifodun, bono umpeti. Un santi, bono imita Vodou, Vodou yo, pele unsi, misi dayo, medele no ifado nungbo, nundegla, payo, ifadlo, yahwenu, Vodou no, etc. Toko mi ton la jo, yo amo Vodou, Vodou sampere, pose mino, medele kunye, me onino, Vodou viwa. Le Vodou est une spiritualité, une philosophie humanisante à l'origine de l'humanité. Joa Tumoyame, Joa Moé, ce n'est pas révélé, c'est authentique. Ewe Sobo, Uwe Nuemahu, Ewe Vodou, Awagawe Jopelo, Kakanya et Tupaki, Sokodo Togo, Kamie le Soukwe, Akinie le Soukwe, Webie le Tokwe, Kakanya Pendoleti, Sotakewa Plumio, il est soirée. Afaku, Aligronu Mine, Amomio. Le Vodou est une spiritualité. Le Vodou est une spiritualité, une philosophie humanisante à l'origine de l'humanité. Joa Dumoyabe, Joa Moé, ce n'est pas révélé, c'est authentique. Ewe Somo, Uwe Emahu, Ewe Ikotu, Awakawe Jopelo, Kakanya Yopani, Sokoto Tomo, Kamie le Soukwe, Akiye le Soukwe, Webie le Tokwe, Kakanya Technology, Sekadewa, Libo, Levoire, Apapu, Alibo, Ide, Amon.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD. New Orleans International Voodoo Day. For the past 3 years, the government of Benin has organized an international festival around the 10th of January, a date dedicated to the traditional Vodou or Voodoo religion. On this occasion, followers from all over the country and elsewhere in Africa and around the diaspora gather in the coastal city of Ouidah, Benin, known as the world's spiritual capital of Voodoo. And it is from this powerful event that we now are celebrating our third annual New Orleans International Voodoo Day, again inspired by National Voodoo Day in Benin and led by our local Black community members. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is a day of collective remembrance and spiritual reparation that is preceded by a symposium, an Afro-ecology exhibit, and includes a procession to monuments and sites of slavery in New Orleans, a ritual to account for and seek absolution for the city's and the country's participation in the institution of slavery, in homage to those ancestors who suffered through and survived the transatlantic slave trade. Honor and appreciation for the achievements of those who came out of this oppression. 2 days, May 23rd and 24th, Saturday and Sunday, May 23rd and 24th, 2026, 2 days for education, creative expression, elevation, cultural exchange, and above all, healing through authentic Vodou traditions handed down through generations. We offer a path to healing from the ongoing ramifications of slavery and racism in the United States. And we continue to invite and enjoy your support, participation, volunteership, donations, and certainly your sponsorship by visiting us, signing up with us, gaining more information by visiting www.vodouday.org, www.vodouday.org for always upcoming updated information as this event continues to grow. More countries, regions, and communities are signing on and coming on board. And we just signed a very powerful and historic agreement, sister city agreement, much like we signed here with Benin last year. We did so this year in Benin with our delegation that is returning from Benin, probably as we speak. We are also thankful for your continued support and participation in the live chat Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a social media platform near you or by way of our QR code, which can be found in the top right corner of your screen. We certainly are grateful for your participation and support. Apostle Hudson, 1963, love and light to you and yours. Our beloved community member, Daniel Neal, we certainly appreciate you and yours. Love 1901, thank you so much for your participation and support. And I will be unmuting my beloved co-host momentarily, my first priest, my Black Hawk Voodoo Wild Man, and our armor bearer, Brother Joshua Nylan Tanner. committed co-administrator of NOIVD and initiated member of La Source Ancien on 4. Our second priest, Tyson Allen Horn, also our executive producer of Respect the Voodoo. No matter what you do, respect the Voodoo. He is also an initiated member of my house, as well as La Source Ancien on 4. And our beloved Queen Mother, Sister Toni Martinez, community activist, community educator, community mother, and I like to say community agitator. She will shake things up. And certainly we love and appreciate the support and attendance of Elder Reggie Green Soap, the leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, also committed co-administrator of NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. And certainly keeping in theme with Voodoo Days annually in January 10th in Benin. This is their third year. We will now be celebrating and acknowledging our third year, May 23rd and 24th. And so we speak of Carnival. We speak of Mardi Gras Day. We speak of the ancestral masquerades that rise from the red earth of West Africa, the deep forest of Central Africa, the salt water of the Middle Passage, and the streets of New Orleans. We are not speaking of entertainment. We are speaking of survival. We are speaking of memory. We are speaking of a spiritual technology older than the empire, older than colonization, older than the very languages we use to describe it. Carnival is not simply a season, it is a portal. Mardi Gras Day is not simply a holiday, it is a crossroads. And the ancestral masquerade is not simply a costume, it is a vessel, an embodied prayer, a living archive, a walking altar carrying the breath of those who came before us. To understand this, we must begin where all things begin, with the ancestors. The ancestors, the first masquerade. In West and Central Africa, the ancestors are not abstract ideas. They are active forces. They are guardians, witnesses, and participants in the life of the community. They are the ones who built the roads we walk, the ones who held the knowledge, the ones who endured so that we might exist. And when the ancestors appear in masquerade, whether as Egungun in Yoruba lands, Zombeto among the Bay peoples, the Mako Jambis in the Caribbean, or the many mass societies of the Congo, they come with purpose. They come to cleanse, to correct, to bless, to protect, to remind the living of their responsibilities. The masquerade is not a performance, it is a visitation. The mask is not a disguise, it is a doorway. When the dancer enters the mask, the dancer steps aside. The ancestors step forward. The community recognizes this. The land recognizes this. The spirits recognize this. And the masquerade becomes a moment where the living and the dead breathe the same air. The Middle Passage carried memory in our bodies. Science has now demonstrated that ancestral memory survives in the blood, in the DNA, through ancestral memory, at least 11 generations. And when our people were forced across the Atlantic, chained in the belly of ships, stripped of language, land, and name, the masquerades could not come in their full forms. The mask could not be carved. The sacred cloth could not be woven. The societies could not gather in the open. But the memory survived. It survived in the body, in the hips, in the drum patterns, in the call and response, in the instinct to cover the face, to paint the skin, to move in ways that are not simply dance, but invocation. It survived in the refusal to forget. And so in the new world, the masquerade adapted. It hid itself inside new forms. It whispered through Congo Square. It pulsed in the ring shout. It lived in the Mardi Gras Indians, in the Baby Dolls, in the Skull and Bone gangs, in the Stilt Walkers of the Caribbean, in the Junkanoo rush of the Bahamas, in the Junkanoo of the Carolinas. And everywhere our people landed, the masquerade rose again. Because the ancestors do not die, they transform. New Orleans is one of the great crossroads of the African diaspora. Here, Western African, Central African, Caribbean, indigenous, and European traditions collided, blended, resisted, and reemerged as something entirely unique. Carnival in New Orleans is not simply a party, it is a spiritual season. It is a time when the veils thin, when the city becomes a stage for ancestral memory, when the streets themselves become altars. Mardi Gras Day is the high point of this season, the moment when the masquerades take over the city. On that day, everyone becomes something more than themselves. Everyone steps into a role, a spirit, a story. Everyone participates in the ancient practice of masking, of transformation, of ritual inversion. But for those who carry the blood memory of Africa, masking is not just fun, it is a return, it is a reconnection, it is a declaration that we are still here. The Mardi Gras Indians, the Black masking Indians, are one of the clearest expressions of this. Our suits are not costumes, our suits are shrines. They are prayers sewn bead by bead, sequence by sequence, feather by feather. They are acts of devotion, acts of resistance, acts of remembrance. And when a big chief steps out on Mardi Gras morning, he is not simply showing a suit. He is carrying the weight of his ancestors, the memory of maroon communities, the legacy of survival. He is embodying the warrior spirit that refused to bow down. And today, when we gather for Voodoo Day in Benin, or for New Orleans International Vodou Day here in the Crescent City, we are participating in a global reconnection. We are stitching the Atlantic back together. We are acknowledging that the same spirits who walk in Ouida walk in Treme. The same ancestors who rise in Albany rise in Congo Square. These celebrations are not separate events. They are two ends of the same river. Voodoo Days honors the source, the birthplace of many of our traditions, the land where the masquerades first danced, where the spirits first spoke, where the ancestors first shaped the world. New Orleans International Vodou Day honors the transformation, the survival of those traditions through enslavement, colonization, suppression, and misunderstanding. It honors the creativity of a people who refuse to let their spirits be silenced. Together, these celebrations remind us that the masquerades is not bound by geography. The ancestors travel, the spirits travel, the culture travels, and wherever we gather with intention, with respect, with authenticity, the masquerade can rise again. In our modern world, the ancestral masquerade still carries power and purpose. It teaches identity in a world that tries to erase us. It teaches discipline in a world that encourages distraction. It teaches community in a world obsessed with the individual. It teaches reverence in a world that forgets the sacred. When we mask, we are reminded that we are not alone. When we dance, we are reminded that our bodies carry history. And when we call the ancestors, we are reminded that we stand on the shoulders of great and mighty giants. The masquerade tells us you are the continuation of a story older than the ocean. You are the living altar of those who endured. You are the proof that the Middle Passage did not break us. You are the future the ancestors dreamed of. And in my closing invocation, as I invite my beloved co-host to begin to unmute, so as we move from Voodoo days to Mardi Gras Day, from Carnival to New Orleans International Vodou Day, let us remember the mask is a prayer, the dance is a testimony, the celebration is a ceremony, and the ancestors are always watching, always guiding, always rising through us. May we honor them with our actions. May we honor them through our creativity. May we honor them with our courage. May we honor them with our joy. But when we mask, when we dance, when we celebrate, we are not simply participating in tradition. We are keeping the world in balance. We are keeping the spirits close. We are keeping the memory alive. And in doing so, we ensure that the masquerade, our oldest teacher, our oldest protector, our oldest companion, will continue to walk with us, generation after generation, from the red earth of Africa to the streets of New Orleans and beyond. AYIBOBO, Bilolo, Ashe, Asheo, and Ashe. And I'm going to add, Mane Kudifayo, Indian Red, Indian Red. How y'all doing?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing?
Good evening.
Good. Okay, so Divine Prince, can I ask you a question? When you're talking about Carnival as a portal and Mardi Gras as crossroads, what does that mean to the people who may only know, the New Orleans in this time frame as a party season? Can you expound on that?
Certainly, I certainly would have allowed Brother Reggie to answer that, but
Brother Reggie as well.
it's a multi-layered event. I often tell my students, my godchildren, my initiates, that I teach in an onion. The solid part starts and forms at the center, and then you build a foundation, and you layer by layer, you add an extra layer of understanding, another dimension of understanding. So most tourists, most visitors, I dare say many locals today, only understand Mardi Gras Day, typically as a one-day event, or the several parades sort of leading up to it, without really understanding the multi-layered facets of masquerade, masking, if you will, that show up as a part of Mardi Gras, but also as a part of Carnival, but have very distinct and I would say separate roots, but they become the crossroads here in New Orleans because like the gumbo, many things get sort of mixed in, thrown together, spiced together, seasoned together, and often to the untrained eye, uh, you're not grasping the totality of what's happening. Once you're trapped on St. Charles Avenue early on a Mardi Gras morning, it's quite difficult, if impossible, to get to the communities, the neighborhoods, uptown, downtown, West Bank, where the Black masking traditions are actually taking place. The Skull and Bones, the Baby Dolls, the masking Mardi Gras Indians. The Skull and Bones come out in the dark, usually between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning. So let's say you find your way there. Okay, so once you make it there, you're basically locked into that community for several hours, if not for the remaining portion of the day, because now the baby dolls are coming out, as well as the guests, the tourists. The job of the Skull and Bones is to beat on the houses and knock on doors, and to not only wake you up for the day, but to remind you that this experience is transitory, it's temporary, and that we're all going to meet our maker. We're all going to meet the dirt, if you will, at some point, if you're blessed in your due time. And so from that opening on, the celebration, the carnival, but the sacred ritual and ceremony has begun. Again, it opens with those skull and bones. It continues with the baby dolls. It is further reinforced with the presence of Black masking culture, which is not only a Mardi Gras Day event, but then comes back on Downtown Super Sunday, Uptown Super Sunday, West Bank Super Sunday, on St. Joe Night, which is a whole nother podcast unto itself of multi-layered, multi-coded language.
And non-talk.
You know, while listening to you saying, about how everything came from Africa and stuff over here, our ancestors had to be really strong and really clever to keep those traditions, to pass them on to somebody who can pass them on to somebody. Because in my studies, I know when Africans came here or went to a plantation, they usually were by themselves, the only African introduced to the plantation. And the other enslaves, they had been slaves for generations, some of them, and had mainly forgotten that. And they saw that as something strange and something to be feared because they had been introduced into Christianity, if only by word of mouth. And in order for our people to still have that and pass it on, they had to be incredibly smart, incredibly dedicated. They didn't just, it was something they lived and would give their life for. Because most of the time, if they were caught, they would get punished severely. And that they found one other person that would actually listen to them and pass it on. I think back on how on Roots, Kunta Kinte taught Kizzy a few words, and she passed those words and traditions that he told her as a child onto her children and grandchildren. I mean, that, to me, that's just amazing.
It is. I want to ask brother Joshua. When you and Divine Prince are masking Indian, like, we touched based on it on one of the other podcasts, but you know what are you feeling when you putting that headdress on, when you putting them feathers on, and you're putting on the suits? um what do you physically feel like? And I guess that could speak to the altar itself. When Divine Prince is talking about it's an altar, and these suits are altars. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's more of a liberation. That's what you're feeling. Like spiritual liberation, where you're actually able to express from a spiritual point of view your ancestors' struggle, their fight, their resilience to carry culture forward, to tell their stories, to be alive, to be who they are, to come alive, to be in the moment. That was the moment that they were actually created and from out of suffrage to be able to express themselves. So it's it's uh it's a lot to carry forward. Um, so it's like you have to. It's not about. It's not really. It's you're feeling what's happening in there, and who's coming forward, and like the people, the community. You see all that's happening at the same time. So it's not about. It's a collective movement that you're a part of, that you walk in, and that you carry forward, and that you demonstrate in a way where you want to bring people in the community together in love and unity to celebrate our past, our future, present, and future. Um, so it's it's a lot of things, man. It's a very beautiful thing, I must say. Being my 10th, I think first year I masked was 2016, so this would be 2026 would be 10 years
Wow.
that I've been a part of this culture in some shape or form. If I'm not on the street or helping or within the community or outside of the community, from outside of the community, I've always sown and that's always I find myself a part of that with me not being here presently in New Orleans, because I have been traveling and doing other work outside of the city too throughout my years. But now that I'm back here and returned back last year, it's very it's a thing that I think is continually to move forward, and I'm glad to see it. A lot of the youth is starting to jump on it and actually be a part of it and actually take it serious, because it is a serious feat and a serious responsibility.
I share. And Elder Reggie, can I ask you a question too? I know I'm asking a lot of questions tonight, but this is one of those things where I got to ask the culture bears.
Yeah.
On some of my trips to Africa, I've noticed a lot of similarities in us as a people. From what I see, in New Orleans or in Miami or New York or wherever in our communities, and in the villages that I see similarities. But speaking on the carnival and the masking, when you've gone and you make your pilgrimages to Africa, what similarities do you see from what goes on in carnival or what goes on in Mardi Gras here to what you see in the motherland?
Yeah, great question, Brother Hon. Good night, Divine Prince. Excellent topic. Sister Toni, Brother Joshua, and the collective audience. Brother Hon, that's a good question. But I have to set it up like this, just to try to give it some nuance, and then I could bring it in. And what I want to talk about a little bit, and you could relate, Brother Hon, and what I want to talk about is secret society. It is defined as an organization that operates with a level of secrecy regarding its activity, memberships, and sometimes even its existence. Members often engage in unique rituals, use secret handshakes, and may have a specific sign of recognition. The degree of secrecy can vary widely, from simple password to elaborate ceremonies in private language. So if we was in Benin days on the 9th and 10th, if we was physically there, you're going to see everyone who was in mask, all the performers, not the collective audience, belongs to a secret society. They are the shrines, they have the altars, they are the priests and the priestesses in the community. So some of the people that they have done spiritual work for don't know that's them behind the mask. If it's the Egungun mask, if they're in Zambeto or whatever particular Voodoo that is coming present, they're going to be masked because of the secret society. And that gives it a carnival feeling. Even when you bring New Orleans or Mobile, Alabama, secret society started the Mardi Gras generations in New Orleans. Even when you talk of the Mardi Gras Indians, it was started by secret societies in the Seventh Ward. These was all, at the time, there was all men, social and pleasure groups that raised funds for burial, to help feed the homeless, even to start churches and schools. And because of that, and they wanted to give to the public as a whole, they didn't always want people to know who they were. So they brought in the mass. Mass tradition's been around since Egypt days, but men's societies bring it in because they're not looking for hoorays and flowers all the time. They want to do stuff, but then the next day they want to just be their normal selves. And that is the parallel that I see. Now in 2025, it may not be societies as cohesive as back then, but that is the premise of how this come together. And that's from my perspective.
And you're right, Elder Reggie, because when I was young and in the 60s and in the early 70s, the masking Indians was a secret society.
Yes.
You didn't go to their practices. You didn't go in their house when they were sewing their suit. You couldn't see their suit. You couldn't talk about their suit. You didn't know who was who. It was a big secret until the day they came out. And
Yes.
then you knew and you were taken aback. But that was a secret. To me, that was more secret and feared Indian
Yes.
tribe.
Yeah, the
I
Skull and
mean,
Bones, not to cut you off, the Skull and Bones was a secret society also back then.
yes, yes, yes. But the Indians with the making the suit and the sewing and all of that, it was a family affair also. The whole entire family, from the children to the
Yeah.
wives and the sisters, it was like that. I mean, I don't know if it's so secret these days because I see a lot of information that is out. But
Mm-hmm.
I know another black masking Indian, and he told me when he puts his suit on and his foot hits the street, it's like he's possessed by something else. The way
Mm-hmm.
he dance and sing and beat the tambourine, he said he couldn't beat that tambourine like that if he didn't have his suit on. He said, honestly, I can't play the tambourine till I put that suit on. He said it's like he becomes a whole nother person. So it's really serious. It's real dedication,
Powerful.
love, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Now, the one thing, I'm a little, I guess it's more of a personal thing, is that we do have the Mardi Gras, and you could see the African energies moving through Mardi Gras in New Orleans, but at least 80% of the people do not want to give the African, not the African spirits behind it. If it's voodoo, if it's the Orisha, if it's the ATRs, they do not want to associate it with that, but it's those energies that's manifesting.
Do you see, Elder Reggie? Do you see more of that when it comes to, like, for instance, like when Zulu come down and stuff? Is that like the closest thing you can kind of get to it a little
Exactly.
bit? You know what I mean? Is that
Yeah, yeah, exactly, brother Horn. That's what I'm saying. Even a lot of the Indians, when you go to these tribes, besides Fayaya and Elder Divine Prince and Brother Joshua, they give Africa in its some history and some significance. But a lot of the other tribes don't do that. But when they get the possession, when they beating the tambourines, you can see the spirit coming up on them, just as if they was being possessed if they had belonged to a shrine or to another secret society that was doing spiritual work. You see the same spirit come out and above. When I think of the Egunguns are in mass, but they are a burial society. They work as the ancestors. And when they put their suits on, they start their dancing, they chanting. That tells the spirit it's okay to possess us. We have work to do. And I see the same thing with the Indians in the Skull and Bones. They put the suits on, the spirit come, but they just don't acknowledge it. I think that's what I'm speaking to.
Yes, you correct. I can remember um a lot of the Indian tribes lately, since we've been back here from Katrina, um did not, want the voodoo shaman doctor. You
Right.
know,
See?
they
Mhm.
didn't want that. They disassociated themselves from that. Divine Prince tried to implement it actually and came
Mhm.
against a lot of resistance. But now, this was a few years ago, but now I'm starting to see pictures in print of the voodoo witch doctor, the shaman, the voodoo, and some other ones. They have picked it up.
Mhm.
But initially getting it in, and I know all the tribes when I was younger, they had a witch doctor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
They
Mhm.
all had a spy boy, a witch doctor, a big chief. The
Second
newest
chief.
thing that I see that you would have never heard of now is the big chiefs being a female. Because like you said, in the early days, it was an all-male society. Now, you had women followed them, they called themselves squaws, like followed them, just like maybe in a natural Indian tribe where they would walk behind the men. That's what they used to do back then. But now the women is all up in there.
Well, we
I
have
don't see nothing
queens.
wrong with it,
We
but
have queens. We don't have female big chiefs.
well, the queen and the big chief is the king.
Yeah.
I mean, we just doing a play on words.
But the positions are completely different.
Okay, if you don't have a big chief and you only have a queen, then she's the leader.
But there are
and that's something you wouldn't have never seen before.
There are no legitimate black masculine Indian tribes that are led by female.
And that's another thing. They have a lot of rogue tribes now. A lot of rogue Indians. That was something that I didn't come across until lately. But I think unless we steady keep hammering it in, when we teaching the youth how to make the suits and how to sing the songs, we have to tell them why and where it comes from. We have to do that. It's useless.
And I think that might be the reason why you see in a lot of what Elder Reggie was saying, a lot of people that been trying, I guess, been going away from the voodoo element or whatever in their, or African element in their suits. Just because I guess they've been trying to hold on to the Indian stories and the traditions from whence, in terms of the Mardi Gras element of it, and here in Louisiana, how it came out of, the maroon camps and paying homage to the American Indians that came in and helped, and the American Indians that was enslaved here first, prior to the Africans getting here, and the things that they went through. So I think that's their motivation. I can't speak for another man or another Indian, but I think that that might be what it is. But I think we'll see what happens this year, man. Because I know we got some elements coming out that will include a lot of that. And
let me ask you, brother Josh, before we wrap up, and let me ask you, for somebody that might hear this, come across it,
yeah,
when you're in New Orleans. And you just may be there. Like, let's just say I came from St. Louis or something like that, and I land in New Orleans and I'm staying in a hotel on, near Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
What would you recommend that someone who wants to see some of the more African oriented aspects of Mardi Gras and masking and stuff like that, Elder Reggie, Justice, about, like where would you recommend that they go? Like, what are some places you could say, listen, you need to definitely check out this street or that street? Because I know that there's different. Mardi Gras is different. You could go to a whole different type of vibe in the Mardi Gras, that type of carnival season there, depending on where you go.
Tell them go to Back Street. Go to Back Street. They'll see a lot of Indians there and a lot of different influences of Indians there, different suits, uptown Indians, downtown Indians, a lot of Indians that will be, a lot of old time Indians that will be there, baby dolls, and you will see everybody. Most of the cultural bearers will be right there, coming through there and paying homage to that Back Street. 'Cause Back Street is a museum that actually pays homage to the masculine Mardi Gras Indian culture. Has been doing it for years. Led now by I forgot her name, but her father was an Indian, and he has passed on now, but he has let.
Is it Montana? Tootie Montana?
Not Tootie, but of course Tootie Montana, but no, the Back Street. The owner of Back Street.
Sylvester Hall. Yeah.
Sylvester Hall. There you go. He was the initial owner of that. His daughter's now the owner of it now, and she's still leading forward and doing great things in the community and keeping things true to tradition. So I would say if you want to see that, something that's true, tried and true, Backstreet.
To me, it's from Orleans and Claiborne to Esplanade and Claiborne. You got to
Go ahead,
walk that
Sister
whole
Toni.
thing. You got to walk the whole thing.
Yeah, yes indeed.
It's a real carnival when you walk that whole strip from Orleans to Esplanade down Claiborne to Hunters Field.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to Hunters Field, where the original Indian wars used to be
All
fought,
right now. Mm-hmm.
where they used to actually fight each other.
Yeah, physically,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Get to Hunter Fields, but Backstreet, the Treme area, which is included in that Treme, is Orleans and Claiborne down the Esplanade to Hunters Field. That's the route I would take, and just walk under that underpass the whole route, and you're gonna get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and y'all talking about Backstreet Cultural Museum. That's right there in Treme.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where brother Joshua was talking about. And yes, like I said, I'm trying not to speak too much, but I know that last year, what I experienced on the steps of Backstreet with Divine Prince and brother Joshua, and a lot of those elder masking chiefs, big chiefs, big chiefs that have been retired and so forth. They were out there, and it was such a powerful, powerful, powerful experience to be there and experience them, playing them tambourines and singing them songs. And the vibe was, it was just electrical. It was electrical, and you felt, New Orleans is one of the places where, everybody say, be safe now, be safe. And you gotta stay safe and be safe. But it felt so welcoming and so communal. You know what I mean? So I can't wait for the new year.
Yeah, I can understand, but we've overwent our time actually. So I'm going to turn it over to Divine Prince to acknowledge our listeners on our other platforms, and then hand it over to Elder Reggie.
We're always
Divine
grateful
Prince.
for our Facebook participants, from my page, Sister Val's page, Elder Reggie's Shrine of the White Cloth group and page, certainly from LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, and we're always appreciative of those who come and listen and participate from Instagram. Jay Rose, we certainly appreciate you. Apostle Hudson One, greetings and salutations. Hey, Zachary's girl, I believe. Thank you so much for coming through. Tree Nam, we certainly appreciate you. Josh Watson and the Ulamala Band, thank you for coming through. Cargero, we certainly appreciate you. Elevate with Leon TV. John Pierce House, we certainly appreciate your listenership and support. Lucky Gator Fragrances, thank you for coming through. Mikey the Prince, we certainly appreciate you. And Mr. Everyday is a blessing. We certainly do appreciate your listenership and support. And we invite you to join us again tomorrow night and weeknights, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a social media platform near you or by way of the QR code located at the upper right corner of your screen. Thank you kindly, and remember that all is truly and indeed a blessing. Elder Reggie.
Thank you, Divine Prince. I'd like to read the advertisements, please. We have a large selection and variety of Santa Muerte statuaries available at the Island of Salvation, location 2372 St. Claude Avenue in New Orleans. Our next moon ritual prayer and application ceremony will occur on the new moon Sunday, January the 18th, time 6:30 p.m. in the zodiac of Capricorn. That address is 710 Cluid Street, and we call it a ritual of spiritual warfare and gathering. Please come out if you're local. Before I read, lest we forget, and I am so appreciative being that Divine
Prince, and Brother Joshua are voodoo practitioners, voodoo priests, and masking Indians. To my recollection, I can't name another. All the Mardi Gras Indians, all the ones masked, they do it, but they are not committed to voodoo. And none of them are not priests. So I am happy to be a part of NOIVD. I'm happy to be a part of Divine Prince and Joshua in the work that they're doing, because New Orleans need more Mardi Gras Indians, baby dolls, and the likes to really wear two hats and still be a part of the New Orleans voodoo scene. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We continue to have work to do. With that, I say ashe, ashe, ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you all. We truly do. And we'll be back tomorrow night.
Good night, y'all.
Thank you.
Good night in Odabo.
Allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yet I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees. It's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Oh, do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, you only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.